Hello dear students. Today the topic of our discussion will be the administration of India or the Indian administration. We will learn how the government actually governs the citizens of a country. See, way back in 1947 when India recently won its independence from the yoke of the Britishers, a lot of political scientists were of the opinion that this country will not last for a decade. There are a lot of diversities in play here, and this country will not live for the coming 10 years or so. But to their dismay and to the shock and surprise of the world, India has stood strong as an unbreakable union. India, since its formation in 1947, has not seen any part of it getting disintegrated. That means the territory of India has not reduced. Now, say in a sense, the political thinkers of that time were right in the opinion that, say, India is a country of vast diversity. In India, we have ethnic diversity. There are a lot of ethnic groups such as tribes, etc. Then we have cultural diversities. There is a huge amount of cultural diversity. It means we consume different type of foods, we wear different type of clothing, we follow different type of religions. Everyone's philosophy is different from one another. Then we also have racial diversity. We have all the prominent races in the world. Everyone, you can see them in India. The main three: Negroid, Australoid, Caucasoid, Mongoloid. All of these major races and also sub races can be found in India. There is a lot of linguistic diversity. See, every region of our country has a language of its own. Even within the same language, there are sometimes different types. Even in the same language, we have certain amount of diversity. So there are various amount of languages spoken. Therefore, and we also have a diversity of thought. Each individual in our country has a different thought process. Their thoughts on life, their thoughts on administration, their thoughts on well-being vary from each other. So, looking at all these diversities, how was it possible that India firstly united this plethora of diversities together, then it made sure that this country survived for so many years, so many decades in fact. Now, the bulk of the credit goes to the Constitution of India. In my opinion, our Constitution, that is the Indian Constitution, is the best written political document of the modern age, simply because it accommodates all these diversities that I told you. Here is a huge amount of differentiation. There is always animosity between each other, but still the Constitution of India has laid out a detailed plan. What the Constitution has done is, it has provided a strong structure, a powerful base to keep this country united, also functioning and also prospering. It means India has not only stayed united, it has grown at an exponential rate. So the major credit goes to the Constitution. But at the end of the day, what is Constitution? Constitution is a document which has a philosophy written within it. But this philosophy will not turn into science. It will not come into effect without proper administration. The constitution is a guideline. It provides the knowledge, whereas it is the Indian administration that incorporates this knowledge and executes the ideals of the constitution. All the various parts of administration are greatly responsible for keeping this country united and helping it prosper to greater heights. Now next let's move on to the organs of administration. Indian administration has three major organs. The first one is your legislature. Legislature pertains to law making. See, every 5 years we have election at the union level, also at the state level, and also at the panchayat level. There is a fixed term of governance. After this fixed term lapses, we will have fresh elections. So every 5 years, the entire population of India is divided in equal parts, which we call them as constituencies. And from each constituency, a person has been elected to represent the constituency. Since the population of India is so large, everyone cannot directly participate in the law making. Therefore, we elect representatives who will do the law making in our stead, who will take our aspirations to the parliament. So that is the job of legislature. It is essentially to make laws. These laws give you the guidance. It gives guidance to the executive to go ahead with the administration of the country. Next we have the executive. The most important part of Indian administration is the Indian executive. Loosely put, the executive itself is administration. It is the job of the executive to implement these laws that are made in the parliament. It also holds the constitutional spirit in its mind and operates under the guidelines of the constitution and the law. So executing the law is the primary job of the executive. See, in executive we have two important parts. That is the temporary executive, and the next one is the permanent executive. Now, who are temporary and who are permanent? See, every 5 years we have election. We have election for MPs or members of state legislative assembly, and the each candidate has a political party backing them. So that person represents a political party, or they can be an independent candidate. So whichever party forms the majority in the parliament will hold the executive powers. Say party X, there are 100 seats and party X has got 70 seats. Party Y, Z have shared 10 seats each. So therefore party X will make the government. And what is the government? It is the executive. It will take care of the administration. That is why political parties fight against each other to hold power, to hold executive power. They want the power to administer the country according to their will. So therefore we have, so every 5 years all your MLAs, MPs, ministers, etc., they come under temporary executives. That means their term is only for 5 years. Every 5 years it will get replenished, or it will be a different group altogether. Next we have the permanent executives. These permanent executives are your bureaucrats, or what we call as government servants. Upon appointment, until they reach the age of 60 years, sometimes even in some cases, if they have done exemplary work, this age is also increased. So these people will be called as the permanent executive. Once they are appointed, they will serve their quota of 60 years, unless there are any unforeseen circumstances arising. So this is the division of executive. See, every law, every activity that goes on in our country, every developmental project that comes in our country, every social welfare ideal or agency that works in our country goes through a simple process. First, there is a group, your temporary executives, your ministers, etc. They are the head of the administrative setup. What they do is they give an idea or a command, and then comes, that is the only job of the temporary executive, giving command and playing politics. The most important work that goes on in administration happens at the permanent executive rung. Here we have top bureaucratic officials who will plan. They are involved in planning. They lay out a plan. And next, there are the last part, which is the execution. Any political any plan that comes into existence will be executed by the execution. So these both come under the temporary executives. All bureaucrats and government servants come in this region. So I'll give you an example. Say the Forest and Environment Minister has heard something regarding environment degradation from somewhere. He comes to his office, they come to their office and says to the secretariat, see, we need to do something regarding the environment. Environment is getting degraded. India should take measures in controlling the environmental degradation. So upon that, the secretariat, the group of bureaucrats, they will listen to it. They say, okay, since the temporary executive is the boss, they will have to listen to him, listen to the person. So they will plan accordingly. Now, okay, they will look at the current status of environment and they will see the major problems. Where is it the air that is more polluted? Is it the land that is more polluted? Which of the following needs immediate attention and how to go forward? So the planning commission, the planning part of the executive will lay out a plan. It will take into consideration about all the factors and finally it will chalk out a plan and say, okay, we need to conserve the environment. We will try protecting the endangered species. We will begin by protecting animals. So they will lay out a plan saying that this is the problem, and in these they will point out certain regions. Let's say Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat, etc. Various regions will be marked out and they will tell that they will plan for a conservation unit like your wildlife sanctuary or national parks. Once this plan comes into effect, this plan reaches the executive. Now it is the job of executive to bring this plan into reality. The executive wing will go to various places that are being mentioned by the plan. It will survey the forest, it will survey the number of animals, plants, etc. and it will make sure that the regions are being demarcated and enforced. And at the end, these executives will create the plan. That means they will create the national wildlife sanctuaries, national parks, etc. And therefore, this entire process is completed. Now, Now when you see, the idea and command is not much of importance. See, you, me, everyone, even little children have ideals for our country. It is not necessary that only politicians think for the country. Each and every person is involved. The security forces, the administration, everyone is worried about our country. Everyone wants the country to be developed. Contrary, see, this temporary, as they are temporary, they will hope to hold their power. They want to consolidate their power. So therefore, the ideas and commands that they give will mostly be colored by their political ideology. Since each and every one has their own party, and most of their ideas will be to further their rule. That means all the ideas that they give to the permanent executive will be for gaining political mileage, so as to consolidate their power. They are only thinking of the next 5 years. Whereas here in the permanent executive wing, see, these people have been in the system, they have worked in the system, they know the nooks and crannies of the system, and they have a better idea in statecraft. Whereas politicians, they are only well versed in politics. Whereas these permanent executives, they are into administration, they know the statecraft. So therefore, see, imagine if this part was not there itself. Say, imagine the top bureaucrats themselves had the freedom to select topics. See, they are already making it's actually magical that each and every command is being obeyed by the executive, and a detailed plan and execution has been done. Imagine if these people had the right, if they had the freedom to select the topics in which development will occur. There where various infrastructures can also be created in which people will also give their input. So if such a thing happens, in my opinion, that will be a much more smooth and efficient administration. Now next, the last organ is judiciary. See, judiciary is always waiting in the shadows. It is never in the light. Executive is the organ that is always in the light, implementing the laws and ideals. Whereas judiciary is patiently waiting in the shadows. Its job is to mainly check the legislature and executive. See, legislature and executive have immense power. They are responsible for the administration. They can bring in any type of law that they like. But in India, we all know that firstly, people are supreme. After that, it is the constitution that is supreme. Therefore, any executive or any law or any official cannot step out of the bounds laid by the constitution. This is where judiciary comes in play. It acts as a check to so that the legislature and executive do not turn arbitrary. So the judiciary is always waiting. Any law that is being passed in the parliament, judiciary is having a look. Any executive decisions are being taken, judiciary is always waiting to look. See, if it so happens that the legislature has a majority, a complete majority, let's say a superior majority of 70%, and therefore can pass any law that they like, and any law that comes in the parliament which goes against the constitution, this law will be under the subjected to judicial review. The judiciary will take up that law and it will search for the legalities, whether the law that is being made by the parliament is compatible with the constitution of India or not. If the Supreme Court finds that the law is not compatible with the objectives or the principles of the constitution, the law will be struck down. The law there itself will be struck down. A new bill will have to be presented in the parliament incorporating the changes. And also, judiciary rarely uses this power, but according to Article 142 of the Indian Constitution, the judiciary, that is the Supreme Court, can give a decision Now this decision will immediately become a law. See, there are certain situations where the legislature has ignored the plight of the people. Since, as I told you, the main job is to secure a second term. Their job is to only hold on to the political power. So therefore, in such situations, when real social problems get neglected by the judiciary and executive, by the legislature and executive, the judiciary steps in with Article 142. The best example would be your Vishaka guidelines. There was no law in the country, nor there was a executive order protecting women from sexual harassment at workplace. So look, the judiciary patiently waited for a long, when it saw that the legislature and the executive was not taking any steps, they gave a judgment which is popularly called as the Vishaka guidelines. These guidelines, they became law by default. Any judgment that the judiciary passes is by default a law. So this is how the beautiful system of Indian administration works every day for the betterment or development of our countries. There are ways. See, anything is not perfect. There is always a scope for growth. So therefore, with certain individual changes, there can be a hope for a better future. So thank you.